Howdy, and welcome to Outside In, your leading podcast for everything about outsourcing. Today, we're talking about one of the most exciting trends in the outsourcing world, virtual administrative support, and we're talking to one of the industry's leaders, Sharon Munajj. I hope you enjoyed the conversation. Sharon, welcome to the Outside In podcast. Where are you joining us from today?
From sunny Atlanta, Georgia.
Excellent. And today, Sharon, we're going to be talking about one of the fastest growing trends in process outsourcing, virtual administrative support. So, can you tell us what is virtual administrative support?
So, virtual administrative support is a type of service offering competent, capable assistants who can help businesses with a variety of tasks, Brad, that they would otherwise pay employees to do. So, virtual assistants can do a variety of things. They can schedule meetings, take phone calls, respond to emails and other client requests. They can do data entry and any other office tasks like accounting and expense reporting. Anything that relates to office management and can do you can do virtually is what a virtual administrative support person would take care of. They can
Awesome.
even order breakfast, lunch, or dinner and have it delivered.
Oh, well, that's awesome. And so, clearly, a fantastic extension to those offices and their support structure. How did you get into this? What's your background in this world?
So I started out in the legal industry. So I worked for large law firms teaching lawyers how to use computer applications and did that for a number of years and was looking to get into a larger law firm when I moved to Atlanta from New York. And I said, okay, I'm going to go in as a contractor in this resource center. And when a training opportunity comes available, I'll just get right in that way. And when one became available in the training department, the HR director said, no, I'm going to offer you a richer opportunity in the resource center. So I was promoted to manager and have just been managing teams and creating wonderful teams in a resource center or a support center ever since.
Excellent. So, from your experience, what are the benefits from organizations moving from in person admin support to this virtual support model?
Well, of course, Brad, the most obvious and significant benefit is the cost savings, right? You have lower labor and, operational costs and a reduction of overhead expenses. So that's the biggest benefit. And then, of course, outsourcing saves time because those non-core activities like back office operations and administrative support frees up resources, helping management to focus on the core business, rather than the administrative ones.
Excellent.
Savings on,
So,
Mhm.
oh, go on.
Yeah, savings on technology and infrastructure is another benefit because here at IST, our support center, our virtual support center, will remove the need for infrastructure investment because we take responsibility for business processes and hence, develop infrastructure, for our clients. And of course, our expertise. So, our virtual support center specialists are subject matter experts in their field, either in legal or in administrative support. So you have access to skilled resources and businesses can take advantage of that talent, assuring a higher level of quality of their work.
No, that's awesome. And from a management side, it sounds like it's a no brainer. But from that end user side, I have to imagine there's a lot of resistance from moving from that in person to that virtual model because they're so used to having that person right down the hall that they can quickly go talk to or yell at or whatever. So how do you make get remove that resistance? How do you get people comfortable with not having that person right outside their office door?
So, of course, the pandemic has spawned a lot of virtual support, and businesses have seen that they can operate efficiently by having virtual support. Even in my prior at my prior employers, we were virtual to many offices. So my team, most of my team was in Atlanta, but we took care of attorneys all over the world in different time zones. So if you weren't in Atlanta, everyone was virtual to us. So that in and of itself is proof that this works. You don't have to have someone right there down the hall, as you say, next to you.
Excellent. So, since that person's no longer down the hall, what are some of the different ways that I request those services? That I request that brief being typed up, or that conference room being reserved, or like you said, ordering lunch?
Yeah. So we have I a very okay. Of course, we're gonna have to start that over. So there are a number of ways that you can make requests. You can email. That's really the most, logical way. You just type up an email and you can send it to the virtual support center with all of the instructions for what you need done. We have a great tool, a workflow tool that you can also fill out a form and you can populate that tool. It has some fields in it that will remind you to give us more information. Like, should someone else be copied on this request when it's completed? Or are you going to be in your office, and or are you going to be maybe in another location? Do you want us to just email it to you? Do you want us to, have the copy center, maybe someone on site is there and can send it to you? So those type of instructions. We have a great workflow tool to help us manage all of those requests. And of course, you can always just call because we do still, some of us use the telephone.
I mean, just the text, right? There's no other purpose in a telephone.
Well, believe it or not, a lot of attorneys and other professionals, corporate, organizations, those employees will text in requests. I've even gotten um, pictures. People will take pictures with their phone of a document, saying, "Hey, can you put this into Word for me and then send it so I can, edit this because I'm at a client site." The client doesn't have a printer, or maybe because of the virtual world that we're working in, they might have been in two different locations. So they couldn't really, get the document to each other quickly. So they just take a picture and send it. You'd be surprised at how we get requests.
It sounds like the key is flexibility, just being flexible and adjusting to what the needs are of that client.
Absolutely. And that flexibility is another benefit because, even Brad, some organizations have businesses that are cyclical, right? So they have seasonal demands. I know a lot of year-end billing for law firms in particular need additional resources to get that billing done so that they can finish the year strong. So at IST, we can supply those resources, and then when you no longer need them, we can release them.
Excellent. So, Sharon, as IST is setting up its virtual support center, what type of model is it utilizing? Is it utilizing a single location? Does it envision having all of its support people remote, or is there some form of a hybrid model going on?
So there is a form of a hybrid model, Brad. Our support center is really next level. Our new facility is it's onshore. First of all, it will take care of people who need legal document processing or administrative support, uh, APAR even. It is going to be located here in Atlanta, and it's explicitly built to meet today's legal market. It spans over 6,000 square feet of space, absolutely beautiful. It has 59 permanent seats in secure suites and 24 overflow seats. There are um, phone booths so people can have a private conversation and even, have a webinar. So this will really work well. If the client needs specialists on site at their location, we'll also be able to provide that. And if there are opportunities for the specialist to work remote because the client agrees with that, we'll have that too. That will likely be reserved, Brad, for the more senior specialists who have already proven their work ethic that they can operate remotely and securely.
Excellent. And you talked a little bit earlier about a workflow tool. Is that tool what you use to ensure that all of these projects that are coming in are picked up and received and completed in a timely manner?
Absolutely. I am so excited about our new workflow tool called IST Request. It is really a game changer, Brad. I mean, I've been doing this for a very long time. Most organizations will use an Excel spreadsheet and they'll try to manage all of these workflow requests, but only one person can access that spreadsheet at a time. With IST Request, again, the requester can just send a simple email, and that email will be scrubbed, if you will, and placed into a form into IST request where the workflow coordinator can see it. And then she can review it and even assign that particular job to a specialist, or in the tool, you can set up pods of people. So if someone has expertise in AutoCAD because the client needs someone to revise a floor plan, then you can have that request go to just those specialists who are skilled in AutoCAD.
Excellent. Let's kind of dive a little deeper into that AutoCAD and that specialization that you just talked about. So, are employees like that, would they be dedicated to a single client, or would they be employees that are supporting lots of different clients because they're so specific in their skill set?
Well, it really depends on what the client wants. If the client wants dedicated support, then that person or persons will be dedicated to that client. But all of that can be built into the tool as well.
Excellent. We talked earlier about how requesting work is, you got to be flexible. I assume that each of these people that we're supporting have very different processes and expectations and what a final document looks like. So, how do you ensure that these people are trained up on each specific client so that we can meet their needs?
Well, that's part of the implementation. So once we have, gotten approval to take on this client and everything is signed, sealed, and it's time for us to deliver, then we start the implementation. So that's when you work with the client, you get into the client's environment to see exactly what applications they have, and if the client has specific applications that only like their training team, like sometimes it might be an internal application. If their training team can train our specialists, that happens. But we take on the training for the most part. So we make sure that the people we have, can work in that client's environment to make sure that if they need someone to convert, like for say trademark, in the trademark area, you might have to turn a logo from color to black and white. So we just make sure that we get provide training for Adobe Creative Cloud applications so that the specialists can use Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign, those things.
Excellent. So we've talked about a lot of different things here, but we haven't touched on one thing that's in today's world so important: security. Data security, how does IST ensure that those clients' confidential data is secure?
Yeah, so we are SOC 2 Type 2. SOC 2 Type 2 is more formally known as Service Organization Control. So this is like an internal control or auditing report on various organizational controls related to security, availability, integrity, confidentiality, and privacy. So when we get audited, they want to see evidence, Brad, that we're running antivirus software as we say we are. When we're in the office, or when most people were in the office, they also ensured that our key card system is working properly as well. So, that's that. Then we also have ISO certification that certifies a management system manufacturing process or documentation procedure, has all the requirements for standardization and quality assurance.
Excellent. So it sounds like we've got a lot of systems in place to ensure that, which is fantastic. So I do have one last question for you. Um, as the office workplace continues to rapidly change, how do you hope to see virtual administrative support change in the next 3 to 5 years?
This has been a tough time, Brad. Um, as I said before, the pandemic has spawned all sorts of things, activism for one, and remote innovation for another. So, as the post pandemic pace changes and continues to evolve, innovation is critical. It's critical. And that's why I'm so happy to be here at IST, because innovation is everything. And I talked about the IST request workflow tool. I talked about our security. So we are really at the forefront, and we're poised to make sure that we can go into the future however it unfolds, because that's what customers demand. We have talented employees who you may not even join us if we're not in the right position, if we don't have that technology and innovation, or the ones who we do have may not stay if we don't make sure that we are innovative. So even before COVID, IST had a number of conventions in place to deliver these proven models of innovation. So outsourcing is going to grow because there's always businesses looking to reduce costs. That's really the bottom line, isn't it? So by moving a job from inside a company to outside a company, the price paid for the work drops because outsourcing offers better solutions. Um, you have a larger pool of potential clients, right? Because our clients have clients. So if we are advanced in security and in all of the skill sets that are needed to support clients, then they are more likely to go with us. So more businesses are going to start to consider outsourcing. Um, they're going to, most outsourcing partnerships are going to be price driven, that were price driven in the past, will continue to survive in the future. Yeah. So
Wow. No, that was such a thoughtful and insightful answer. I can't thank you enough for that answer and for all of your answers in this conversation today, Sharon. So thank you for giving us a few minutes of your time and letting our audience learn more about virtual administrative support.
Okay, you're welcome. Have a great day.
You too. Thank you. And that's a wrap on today's podcast. I want to thank Sharon Munajj for joining us today and talking about virtual administrative support outsourcing. If you enjoyed the podcast and you want to learn more, go to iscmanagement.com. And as always, please subscribe to the podcast.